This season is all about one thing: building businesses that last. Not just the wins, not just the growth, but what it really takes behind the scenes. Our guest, David Cook, Chief Everything Officer at Contractors Direct.
We launched in January of 2020. So, terrible timing. We spent the first 2 years trying to survive.
But when you started off, how did you organize the people side of it? Was it intentional? Like, how did you create that Power Rangers team?
My approach is different to most. A lot of people will say, don't mix business and pleasure. Don't hire friends, don't hire family. But I will only ever invite into the business people that I know, like, and trust.
And has it worked 100% of the time?
You have found the holy grail between retaining your staff and grow the business accordingly.
The crazy thing is, it's an expensive place to do business. If you get that wrong, you may as well just hold up 50,000 dirhams and set fire to it. You learn more from the things that you should have done rather than things that you did do.
You can run a business with kindness, it still will be successful.
Welcome to Season 3 of the HR Sisters podcast. This season is all about one thing: building businesses that last. Not just the wins, not just the growth, but what it really takes behind the scenes to keep something going, even when things don't go to plan. And today's conversation is exactly that. Our guest, David Cook, Chief Everything Officer at Contractors Direct, shares the journey of building multiple businesses in the UAE from the ground up, navigating uncertainty, building the right team, and making decisions that shape culture and performance over time. This is a conversation about leadership, trust, and what it really takes to build a business that holds. So let's get started. So on that note, David, welcome to the HR Sisters podcast, Season 3.
Thank you for the invite. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much for doing this with us. We, I think, reached out to a number of guests, and we had a short list of who we wanted to have on the podcast. And your background was so interesting. So maybe we start with that. Can you give us a quick 60-second elevator pitch on who you are and Contractors Direct?
I'll try and fit 17 years into
wow.
60 seconds. So, arrived here in 2008 and set up a project management consultancy shortly after. It was really difficult back then because obviously, you're trying to set up what was the bottom. We grew that project management company over the course of 10 years. It eventually got acquired at the end of 2019. And even at the point of acquisition, I knew what I wanted to do because a lot of people, because I'd been in the industry for such a long time, loads of people were calling me and, my number was doing the rounds. Hey, I've just taken this space or this villa. Which contractor, should I work with? And because of the project management work that we had done, we had a little black book of all the great guys.
Yeah.
And in the end, I was like, oh man, this is just so draining on my time. I'm going to build a website. And when people reach out to me, I'm just going to direct them to the website and I'm just going to give them all the information they need there. So the project management consultancy was acquired. I then had to figure out, what am I going to do with life? And so I thought, is there a way that I can monetize that platform? And it was a very simple WordPress website, 10,000 dirhams. But it worked wonderfully for the purpose that it originally served. We then figured out, okay, there is a way that we can monetize this, and put a bit of money behind advertising, obviously upgraded the website, and we launched in January of 2020. So, terrible timing. We spent the first 2 years trying to survive.
We relate.
We
relate. We started our SNK 2.0 in COVID as well.
Yeah, man, it was tough. It was tough.
But you've lived to tell the tale. That's the most important part,
absolutely.
right?
And I think you learn more from the things that you should have done rather than things that you did do.
Yeah.
And a lot of the lessons that we learned from that COVID period, and it was 2 years. You had the whole of 20. For us, it was 2 years. The whole of 2020, whole of 21, started getting good in 2022. And so I thought I'd hung up my project management boots, hat, What do you hang up for project managers?
Safety shoes.
Safety shoes. There we go.
And your hard hat.
Yeah, and then the platform started getting more and more traction. And whilst we were helping our clients find the right contractors, they were still screaming out for more support. And so I thought, do you know what? Okay, looks like I'm going to have to start project management again. Thankfully, I reached out to an old friend of mine and I said, hey, do you fancy joining me on this journey? I have no idea where it's going to go, but you get to run the show. You've got carte blanche to do whatever you want, just do it well. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And then, so the project management bolt-on, if you like, came in 2023. So Contractors Direct is the online search platform. Homeowners and business owners will go to the platform and they will use it in a similar way that you do with Property Finder.
Got it.
So you go there, you say 2-bedroom apartment, Dubai Marina, 3 to 4 million. Click search and then it'll show you all of those properties. We do the same for contractors. What is it that you need? What is the contractor that you want? Where are you? And how big is it? You click search and then we show you the contractors that fit the bill. And now we have a project management portion as well that will work with the clients to get the project delivered on time and on budget.
That's such a great offering. I know, like, I've heard horror stories on when people do up their houses because they work with contractors that they don't know the background of, or they have no way of vetting it, right?
Yeah.
So that's like such a useful solution. And I know you have a tool where you can also look at estimate of how much someone has to spend on a project as well. I think that's really useful.
We can service and help you.
Yeah. I'm interested in the Power Rangers team.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you start off, this is obviously you're on like business number 2, 3 at this point, right?
Yeah.
But when you started off, how did you organize the people side of it? Was it intentional, or like how did you create that Power Rangers team?
It's a good question, and my approach is different to most. So a lot of people will say, don't mix business and pleasure. Don't hire friends, don't hire family, etc., etc. But I will only ever invite into the business people that I know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
Or someone who's already in the business wants to invite someone who they know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that a lot of business owners struggle with here is when they bring somebody in for an interview and they perform well in the interview, and maybe they do the aptitude test and it looks like they're a great fit, no one in the business at that point actually knows that person.
Yeah.
And, you know, they may have the idea that, oh, I want to build a business like Contractors Direct. I need to go and work for Contractors Direct, get all of their trade secrets, and then I'm going to set it up myself. Okay, that's a very cynical way of looking at things, but that does exist. There's there are people that we are aware of that will go and work for a company that receives a lot of opportunities, and they should be a salesperson for that company. But what they're doing is they're giving the leads to another company, and when it closes, they're getting cash. And it blows my mind. So the only way that this was going to work was I need to know, like, and trust everybody that I work with.
Yeah.
Starting with the partner level. All of the partners in the business, so bear in mind the company is 6 years old. I knew before we even set up the company. I've known Barry for 15 years, Matt for 14 years, Jenny for 8 years, Halen for 10 years. And they are all masters of their craft.
Yeah.
And so when you have, or when I had this dream, and I said, hey, this is what I would love to build. And how I see you fitting in is in this role, because that's the stuff that I really don't like doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not even very good at. But you're amazing at it and you seem to love it.
Yeah.
So you've got your vertical and your responsibilities, you've got yours, I've got mine, and so on and so forth. And what you end up with is the Power Rangers, you know, and it sounds cheesy. Do you know what? Let's bring it into the 21st century, X-Men, right?
Oh.
So you got the X-Men, and it just works really well. Every single person in the company today, so we're 24 people.
Yeah.
Every single person in the company came as either someone I knew personally or as a recommendation from someone within the business because they've worked with them in the past and they know that ethically they're aligned with us, from a quality and expectation standpoint, they're aligned with us. and it's worked well.
Yeah.
It's worked really well.
And has it worked 100% of the time? Like, has everyone that's come into the business stayed and, performed and progressed in the way that they want to, as well as you want them to?
Not everybody, but we do have a very high success rate. So the areas where it wasn't as successful was sales and also project management.
Okay.
So when project management, if you're a project manager, a lot of people will just assume, oh, you can apply it to any vertical within the construction field. And it doesn't matter whether you're on the client side as a PM or you're on the contractor side as a PM.
Yeah.
I think they're very different.
Oh
right?
man, they're
Yes.
different. That's like saying, I'm a doctor. Okay, what are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're either a chiropractor or you have an idea of what that one
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
but doesn't
you're
mean
not
that
a
you're actually
specialist.
great at it.
Yeah.
And the orientation where you built your experience is different.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
How can you bring that into context and relate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what we did, and this is again where I think we are different, is we will keep going to try and get that person up to speed. Training, mentorship, whatever it is. But some people just, they won't be able to quite get it, and then, you have to have the tough conversation. And it's like, look, we've been trying to make this work now for 3 months.
Yeah.
I don't think it is going to work. However, we're not going to leave you high and dry. We're not going to ask you to leave. What we would say is, if you could work the next 30 days, we'll then give you another 30 days gardening leave. You've got 60 days to find, new employment. They took a chance on us.
Yeah.
Just like we took a chance on them, and it didn't work out. So why would we, after they put their trust in us, put them in a position where they don't have a visa, they don't have insurance, and that they may have to leave the country?
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not how it works.
It's beyond employment that you're looking at, right? Because when somebody is not working with you and has a visa from you, their residence is also at risk.
Yeah.
And that's what you're considering.
Absolutely.
To be sympathetic for one, it's not common for that to happen
Yeah.
as well.
So knowing what you know now with the few that didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
Would you do anything differently with your next set of hires?
I think we would. The team that we have now, we're in a very privileged position because the team that we have now, everybody is doing a significant role, which means there's no duplication. There's no two people doing the same thing.
Yeah.
There's kind of like, one person that takes care of all this, one person that takes care of all that. And if one person leaves, there's a
Big gap.
big bloody hole where they were.
Yeah.
And people could fill it in, but they're already busy on other stuff.
Yeah.
So what we did, and this was part of our 2025 plan, the AI advancements last year were bonkers. So we hired someone whose sole purpose was, okay, if we were going to say that we are absolutely not hiring any more people, we can't hire any more people. Let's pretend there's an embargo. We're not allowed to hire any more people. What are the potential bottlenecks as the business grows and leads are being generated? What are the bottlenecks that we need to solve for without putting undue pressure on the existing team, where we can either leverage tech, AI, or a combination of both? And we've been working on that pretty much for 12 months now. And the outcome, so we're still building it. The blueprint, if you like, was signed off in Feb, and then the dev starts. So we've got Feb until the end of June to get it built. And the cool thing about putting that kind of ring fence around a situation is you don't have a choice but to find out the solution. And it's the solution exists. It's just how broad do you have to think in order to be able to come up with a solution. But we can, with what we are currently building, by the time we get to the end of June, we will be able to handle 6 times more, almost 6 times more number of leads and projects with no extra human resource. It's nuts. It's
It is.
absolutely nuts. And we actually had a demo this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So,
so
are you building the tech in-house then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
So it's like you have found the holy grail between retaining your staff, which you have, nurtured and built,
Yeah.
and, having the AI tech, be the support that they need
Yeah.
and grow the business accordingly. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
you have to share this story.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
sure.
so will that then solve for if someone leaves again, you have the systems in place to fill that gap?
Yeah. I haven't thought about that, if I'm honest.
Oops.
Only because it was, okay, we've only got 24 people.
Yeah.
You all know each other. You know your wives' names, your husband's names, your kids' names, all that kind of stuff. So it's a really cool group of people, actually.
Most HR platforms were built for systems. Circly was built for people. Hiring, HRIS, payroll, and compliance finally in one place. One source of truth for your entire team. AI native ATS that screens faster and surfaces the right candidates. And payroll that runs without any manual reconciliation. No more spreadsheets, no more stitching systems together, just your team running the way it should. Book your demo at circly.com. Going back to the Power Rangers, right? Can you think of a decision that you made early on in the business when it came to people that impacts you till today?
Yeah, I made a decision not to hire anybody I don't know.
Yeah.
That was it. Because when in the first project management consultancy, we were hiring on CVs.
Right.
So the CV comes in, you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
she's worked here, he's worked there. Wow, look at what they've delivered. And they almost don't even need to turn up to the interview. You've already made up your mind. And those instances where I didn't take the time to have a human conversation with someone.
Yeah.
Because it's when you have the human conversation with someone, and it takes time. Because, in interviews, people always arrive straight back, whatever it is, they're pretending to take notes. They're not, they're drawing pictures of cats, right? But they sit there and you need to get to a point where they relax and they unclench their hands and, and then the response you're going to get is the real them. And if you drink, maybe take them out for a drink before you give them the job offer to really see them. And when we started as a rule, because even, going back to the know, like, and trust, if Barry was going to recommend someone that he knows, likes, and trusts, Matt still needs to, rubber stamp it and say, yes, great culture fit. Because the crazy thing is, it's an expensive place to do business.
Yeah.
If you have a look at the cost of onboarding someone.
Yeah.
So you've got the recruitment cost, you've got the visa cost, the insurance cost, the training cost.
Yeah.
The car cost, because normally you've got to sign a lease for 2 years, then the parking card, all the other stuff that goes with it. If you get that wrong, you may as well just hold up 50,000 dirhams and set fire to it. But it's not just the cash value, it's the delay of that 3-month period of figuring out that person wasn't right.
Correct.
And it's like, oh man, how far back has that set us?
I'll add to that, to the point that you're taking that cost plus the cost of replacing.
Yeah.
So for the same role, you have to hire again.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the cost is 50 times actually more than that.
But if I go back, I'm just picking at this a little bit, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because this is what a lot of new business owners would tend to do. Like, I want to get people that I trust and things like that. But when you bring them in, people also, when they come into a place, they want to know what role they're going to do. So how do you solve for that? Because that's great that Barry knows someone, but what is that person going to come in and do?
It would be worth you speaking to anybody that we've hired in the last 2 years, because we make it abundantly clear that what is in your job description or what was on the job ad was to get you to part with your information so that we could check who you are or whatever it is. They need a function to follow, to read, to say, I can do that. But then when they come in and we sit with them, we make them aware that, hey, listen, we are a startup. We're coming out of the startup phase and we're moving into scale up.
Yeah.
It's going to be just as crazy. If you are looking for a well put together organization with processes for processes and an employee handbook that spells out absolutely everything, that's not us. We are all adaptable. 60 to 70% of our day is working on what we believe we should be doing that plays to our skill sets. The other 30% is probably going to be the secondary thing that you're also very good at, but yet, we're having a go. So for example, I will be majority sales. So 70% sales, 30% strategy. Matt will be 70% operations, 30% culture, for example. And I think being brutally honest is important because there are people who crave the structure of large organizations to know that, okay, this is my booth, this is my box, that's the list of things that I've got to do every day. Whew, okay, I can breathe. You're not going to get that at a startup or scale up.
Yeah.
It's going to be carnage. You might come into work on the Monday thinking, I've got to do this, this, and this, but actually, depending on what's happened on the weekend, you might have to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And you'll have understanding and empathy from everybody around you that, okay, these 3 things are now going to be late because this is a priority.
Yeah.
But being multifaceted, like a Swiss Army knife, being multifaceted is super important. Because if we weren't multifaceted, the 24, if everybody was just doing the job that they were hired to do, we'd probably need 40 people. But none of them would be full-time.
Because you're doing bits and pieces of the others.
Yeah.
I think in theory, and of course it works because it works, right? But then someone comes in and says, hey, I've been doing what I've been doing for 3, 4, 5 years now. I want to grow. Mm-hmm. So what happens next? What's the conversation that you have with someone who's been doing a few different things?
Yeah.
How do you have a conversation in a way that makes sense? But also if one person's having this conversation, sure enough, at some point, there will be others that would want to have the same conversation, right?
Sure.
So structure for the sake of structure, sure, I get it. But sometimes structure for the sake of clarity is why it's in place, right?
Yeah.
So how would you navigate those situations?
It's a good question. I think it's easier on the project management side because there is a clear, career path.
Correct.
You start off as a junior, you then become a qualified project manager, senior project manager, project director, partner.
Yeah.
That's kind of usually the process. So we set up, many moons ago, okay, this is the criteria for a junior. This is what needs to happen to get the junior from junior to project manager, qualified project manager. This is what needs to happen for senior project manager. And you sit down, you have a chat with them and you say, hey, look, within 2 years, I want to get you to this position.
Yeah.
Because yes, the responsibility is going to increase, but actually so do the rewards. You will be able to, for us, it's a feel-good factor as well. We equip that person with the environment, the skills, the tools and everything to genuinely, meet those building blocks. But now we put them in a position where they've, in that time, maybe they've had 2 pay rises and they can sidestep if they wanted to leave our company and go to another company on the same or higher salary. So it's that side of things for the PMs is much easier.
Yeah.
Because it's linear. For Contractors Direct, it's a little bit more complicated. So with everybody being a Swiss Army knife, like I said, 60 to 70% of what you do on a daily basis, let's say weekly, on a weekly basis is your primary role, and then you dip in with everything else.
Yeah.
Now, what we try to do, it's a little bit difficult at the moment with what's happening regionally, but what we try to do is, okay, your responsibility can be defined in here. So you're never, or certainly for the next 6 months, you won't be making any decisions that will materially impact the business if it's a wrong decision, because there's someone that you're going to sense check everything with, and they will either approve or reject or give you an alternative way of doing something. But eventually that responsibility will go from, let me get approval, to, no, you now have the authority to do this, and this. Because you've demonstrated in the last 6 months that, you're thinking along the right lines, your rationale behind decisions is correct. So we are removing the need to, tick, what you want to do.
Have that sort of oversight.
Now your responsibility is increased, pay rise. So we remunerate everybody in the business directly related to the significance of the problem that you solve. The more responsibility that you have, the bigger impact that you are likely to be having on the day-to-day running operation and success of the business.
Yeah.
We do not remunerate based on passports, because for me, it's unfathomable in my head that you can get two people applying for the same job, and because this passport isn't British, for example, their salary will be half of the person who is British, and they might have less experience, as in the Brit might have less experience. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
So what we would do is, we band it on the responsibility. This is the responsibility. This is the remuneration that comes along with it. Whatever the nationality, we don't care. Best person for the job. And that's how we've done it.
Yeah, actually, that is just creating a job description and having a band.
Yeah.
So you're doing it informally. You're maybe not calling it like, we have a job description, this is your job description, but you're coming down to the same thing, to say this is the roles and responsibilities because of the nature of where we are in our cycle of our stage of business. You would have to pick up more than just what's on your job description, which I think, a lot of small businesses also would relate with, right? Because you can't have, or at least I think, you can't have too many roles because you are still a small business. There will be some element of multitasking, doing other responsibilities. And it also takes a certain kind of employee to thrive in those environments.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
On that though, so you have your team. When you have employees that have come in with this, I'm in, and I embrace the startup culture. I'm up for challenges and new things every week, or experiment. But at some point, some people, maybe not everyone, tends to say, I want something more regular and I want something more. Have you had those situations where, because you're now in 6 years, and I'm assuming there are some that came with that excitement and now want a different path or something. How does that?
So there's one person in the company now who is really, really good at his job. And he likes it, but he doesn't love it. And so he has asked, because we sit down and we have very relaxed conversations like this. It's like, hey buddy, how's it going? Yeah, it's going really well. Are you enjoying what you're doing? What are you stuck with? What do you need my help with? What do you need his help with? Are you going on holiday? Like, it's kind of, it's a human
which is what you're
conversation,
supposed
right?
to do.
Because
right?
these
what you're supposed
situations,
to- exactly.
You talk
And then,
it out.
and then you ask the question. Sometimes you wish you didn't ask the question, but you ask the question. It's like, are you enjoying what you're doing? Yes, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. If you could do anything though, what would it be? And then it turns out that his passion isn't what he's doing. He likes what he's doing, but his passion is something else.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, okay, I don't know how to solve this yet, but I'll figure it out. And so I had a chat with Barry, and I was like, hey, this person would really like to do more of this. And I really think that he would be really good at that. Is there a way that we could potentially, as the business grows and as the need for that grows, we could move him over? And rather than 70-30, switch it so that it's 70-30. And can we, the next question is, rather than hiring someone else, is there a way that we can use the technology or automation, AI, to fill in the balance, if there is a balance? And that's what we're working on.
Yeah.
Because we going back to sitting in a cubicle and, in your lane and your box and all the rest of it. For us, it's important that people are happy, because they're not building their dream. They're ultimately building my dream.
Yeah.
My dream is to build this absolute beast, and I want a great group of people with me. Everybody's going to do well out of it. but that's not their dream. I'm sure they wouldn't want to be built,
Yeah.
And so making it as comfortable as possible to make sure that they are enjoying. And this is, again, speak to anybody we've hired in the last 2 years. We do not want anybody to resent getting out of bed in the morning and coming to the office.
We say the same thing.
Yeah, we say the same thing.
And I think that's important.
Yes.
I don't expect you to get out of bed, woohoo, I'm going, go to the office today and skip down the street. But I don't want anybody to have that sinking feeling on a Monday morning thinking,
Say, I have to go back to work.
I've got to, yeah.
No, it's work, back to...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, that's why I want people to do stuff that they enjoy.
Yeah. And I think, it seems like what you're doing is actually all of the textbook things that you're supposed to do. You're just doing it in a very human fashion. You're not saying, now we're going to have like a one-to-one. You're doing that anyways, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is like a very important learning for businesses this size with the 20, 30 people, which is you can't get away from doing that. You still have to do a check-in with the person. You still have to ask questions, even sometimes knowing that you're not going to know what to do with the answer.
Yeah.
But you have to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not doing it is not an option.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to work in the long run. And you can't, you don't want to have 24 people coming into work to say, nobody here really cares about me.
Yeah.
All they care about is their dream. And I'm just going to stay here for as long as I want, can, and then look for something else. That's not what you want. So you are doing all of the right stuff, which is great to hear, right?
Yeah. It's just carving out that, especially recently, because you wake up at 4 and 5 in the morning, my alarm it's me waking up, not the alarm. And then I get into the office and I'm just head down, WhatsApps, calls, and I'm almost oblivious to what's going on around me. And I have to snap back in. I'm like, I'm not the only one that is carrying anxiety. There's other people that are carrying around this anxiety. Make an effort, Dave.
Yeah.
They're looking up to you. You're the leader. If you don't step up and put on your game face and walk around like there isn't a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. You spoke earlier about, when you interview someone, you do a sense check for culture fit, right? And the word culture fit is used very loosely a lot of times because you know what you're looking for, right? And maybe someone else knows what they're looking for. But how do you intentionally establish to say, this is what we are looking for?
Yeah. How does the individual become the collective?
Yeah, I mean, it can be quite difficult because you do want someone to fit in with the culture. Yeah. And, if you come into the office, you'll see that it's a relatively young team, not necessarily in physical age, but in, maturity, I'll say. Not that we're, an immature bunch of animals. Yeah. But, you have to have a laugh. You can't take what you do too seriously. Yes, there will be some, mini disasters that pop up, but actually, I'm not saying that someone who doesn't have a sense of humor wouldn't succeed. But I think being able to, and I'm not saying you need to be extrovert either, but just be able to have a conversation with the person next to you. You don't have to tell them everything about you, but at least have a conversation because you think, man, they'd be amazing at the job. But are they good for the company?
Yeah. But also people don't realize that, yes, tick, 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 tick. But the cost of getting that wrong, you just went through, it's an expensive decision to get wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if leaders would only spend the time to find the right fit from a role perspective, but also from a culture. And, we, in our company, we also use our values to hire a team member. And we ask them how they have lived those values or even what their own personal values are, right? But I think sometimes you just learn this over a period of time after making a few expensive mistakes.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, what am I not doing right?
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
would you say your leadership style has evolved over the years, or has it? Or have you just been like, I'm great at this from day one?
No, I wouldn't say I'm great at anything. I would say that I'm pretty well-rounded.
Yeah.
I'm not excellent at anything, and I don't do anything that I'm terrible at either, because that would just be a disaster. It's like, no, there's people that love doing the stuff I'm terrible at, so you guys crack on. So if you look at the 2019 version of me versus the version now, a lot has happened between then and now. You know, between having kids, COVID, and all, you know, completely new business, tech business, know nothing about tech. Thank God the business partners do. What I would say is there are some decisions that I really shouldn't make. They're probably decisions the CEO should make, but I'm not the best person for those types of decisions.
Right.
Because I am, as my old business mentor would say, soft. You know, I give people the benefit of the doubt. I give them way too much leeway, you know, and that kind of stuff. So when it comes to, one of the things that we did really well in 2025 was actually put performance reviews in, but not regimented performance reviews. It was, hey, so you got your annual targets, you break it down into quarters, into months, teams, and then individuals in teams. And it's like, okay, for us as a team to achieve what we need to do by the end of the week, I need you to focus on this and support on this. I need you to focus on this and support her on that, you know? And that works. And it's, you're essentially measuring two things. Number one, did you get the output? Number two, what was the quality of the output? Was it rushed and all done in the last day? Or is there an inefficiency in their time management? And then it then gives you a much better idea of, you know, when you move forward with that approach, you get a much better idea of where the inefficiencies are and where the quality standards are. And it might not be deliberate. Our quality standards are up here. But when we bring someone in to the business, they might be used to delivering quality standards here because they've never had to deliver up here. And so then it's just a training thing. You know, and if they're inefficient with time, it's like, well, let's have a look. How are you doing this? What tool are you using? What software are you using? What time of day are you doing this? And then you're like, right, okay, well, look, why don't we use this tool instead? We'll pay for it. It's faster than this, and you can do all the other, you know, bits and bobs. And we want each person to be successful but feel successful. And the only way you can do that is to help someone understand, where are you now? Where do we think we can get you? And what does that actually look like in real material terms? It means that by this time in 6 months, you'll be delivering twice as much as what you are at the moment with a higher quality of output in the same amount of time.
Interesting. It's a very good model, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, so from the entire conversation so far, what it's so evident to me is you actually have structures in place and you have your way of doing things, right? It's just not called out as a, hey, we have a job description, hey, we have this, but you actually do. The fact that you have a performance review, and performance reviews don't need to be regimented to be effective. They just need to happen. They need to be there, right? Would you say now that you have this performance review in 2025, the performance of the team as a whole was different than what you would have had in 2024 without it?
I'm also interested, like, what made you choose to go into performance review as well after these years?
So we've always had company targets, you know, and then so there's a fantastic principle or methodology, I guess. It's called, the book is called Scaling Up by Vern Harnish, and you've got this piece of paper called the one-page plan. And if you know how to fill it out and then you work backwards, it breaks everything down into bite-sized chunks. You don't worry about the end of the month, just focus on what you've got to do today. and it all compounds, and then before you know it, you get to the end of the month, you're like, wow, I actually did it.
Yeah.
So we had those, and we were doing a good job at hitting them, but it was messy because there was no governance, if that's the right word, on the quality. It was the achieving the outcome is important. And then it was, okay, well, how are you doing that? We do need to put quality metrics in place. We also don't want people working weekends or after 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
If you're working weekends or after 6 o'clock, one of two things is wrong. We've either given you too much, or there are areas that you can improve from an efficiency or quality perspective, right?
Agree.
And then when we started spending more time on really understanding, are we giving you the best chance of succeeding?
Yeah.
And understanding what is it that you need from us? Support, training, quiet environment. You might not want to sit out, like when you're doing focus work, you might not want to sit out with all the rowdy people. The PMs are loud, the salespeople are loud, I'm loud, and it can be distracting. We have music playing. So we bought the two, individual phone booths. When you close it, it's as good as soundproof, and it's like a cocoon. And they'll disappear and they'll sit in there for 2 hours to hammer out the focus work. But that was super important. That was a big shift for us. And I can't take credit for that. Matt, when he came in, he was like, do people have KPIs? Yeah, KPIs. Or do they know, and I'm like, yes. And then he asked the question, I was like, I thought we probably could be more efficient.
Yeah.
He's like, do you know how you could be more efficient? No.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, no problem. We can get it fixed. You spend time with the people. You understand, what do they find easy? What do they struggle with? Are they aware of, are there any tools or anything that they could be doing different or that we could support them?
Yeah.
And then you have eventually an optimized individual, an optimized team, and then eventually an optimized company. And when you have your optimized company, you realize at that point what the true potential is of the 24 people.
Yeah.
And if revenue is the metric, right? 2024, I might have believed that we didn't have 24 people, but let's assume that we did. I might have believed that 24 people would be capable of achieving a $2 million turnover. Now, with these adjustments, enhancements, and all the other stuff that goes with it, that same team could comfortably do 4 to 5. If we really turn the dial up and, we put, pressure on, but you still got to get it done within your working hours. I'm turning the lights off on the way out, on the way out.
Yeah.
Stay here in the dark. We could probably be 5 to 6. Because once you understand where that, kind of optimal performance is, you can almost park that and say, right, I now have a $6 million team with the processes, product, and revenue model that we currently have. So the performance is there. What changes could we make to take it from 6 to 8 that doesn't affect the super optimized team? We just now need to look at the processes, the revenue model, the products, and everything else.
Yeah.
Because when you try to do everything at the same time, the tempting thing is, okay, 24 people made $2 million. We want to do 4 next year. We need to hire another 24 people.
Yeah. Looking back now, right? If someone was starting a business today, what advice would you give them that would allow them to build a business that lasts, not just financially, but from a people and culture perspective as well?
Ooh, wow. So first of all, don't underestimate how much it costs to set up a business and maintain a business.
Yeah.
So my very first piece of advice would be build it in your spare time. Keep your job. And when the income that you can generate from your side hustle, it's a super cheesy phrase, but it's right. When the income from your side hustle matches or exceeds your employed, switch. Providing that there is evidence that supports that it is going to continue for a sensible amount of time.
Yeah.
Understanding your product market fit is super important. So I was watching a video earlier today about someone who built a holiday park. And there was a holiday park 10 miles up the road, and they were charging £80 a night. And so he was charging £75 a night because he wanted to undercut them. And it wasn't going to be until year 8 or 9 that he was a break even. That just doesn't make sense. And what he did was actually he just introduced, I think it was 3 unique elements that now made his holiday park different to theirs, which means he didn't need to compete with theirs because it's unique.
Yeah.
So one of the other things that I would say is you can sell the same product, but do it differently.
Yeah.
There's competition everywhere, right? But if you're able to sell the same product but differently, and it might be in the payment terms, it might be in the packaging, it might be in 30 days complimentary, but you've got to sign up for 12 months. Whatever it is, make the barrier to entry more appealing for you than it is for your competition.
Yeah.
Because once you've got them in, all you need to do then is deliver on what you've said you were going to, and they will have a good experience.
Yeah.
Don't hire too quickly. That is super important. As soon as you bring someone in, assuming you've hired well, you are now responsible for that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well said.
And you might be paying yourself, for example, 10,000 dirhams a month. You bring someone else in for 10,000 dirhams a month, and you think, oh great, there's 2 of us now. I pay myself 10,000, but I make the business 20. I'll bring someone else in and we'll make 40. We're doubling it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
It's not that,
it's not that
1
linear.
to 1.
Yeah, exactly. Really do. If I was going to do this again, I would, maybe I'm too old for this, but I would put myself under a tremendous amount of pressure to get to a point where I can afford to hire 3 people just to hire 1. So then if this person isn't matching my performance, even 50% of my performance, we're still making money.
That's really good advice.
For me, now it's common sense.
Yeah.
15 years ago, it wasn't.
That's why hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That
So I think that would be it. Don't leave your job too quickly. In an ideal scenario, you would have someone who sees and believes in what you're building.
Yeah.
To the point, and they have a complementing skill set. If you find someone like that, and you think, right, these are all the things I'm great at. He or she's great at everything that I hate.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Between the 2 of us, we can now probably confidently do 6 of the 10 roles that are required for a successful business. But 6 is enough for the moment.
Yeah.
And then don't underestimate the importance of putting in place a founder's agreement. You can handwrite it on the back of a napkin, but just key principles. Documentation.
Yeah.
Both of you put money in. Doesn't have to be millions. Just commit to something. What's the first 6 months costs without salaries? The first 6 months costs are 50,000 dirhams. Okay, 25,000 dirhams each. You put it in. There's no resentment that I put in more than you, and so on and so forth. Try and define what success looks like in your role, what success looks like in your role. Hold each other accountable. But the salesperson should bring in more money.
Yeah.
Don't resent the ops guy, for example, because they're not bringing in money. Their job isn't to bring in money.
Yeah.
Your job's to bring in money. You now got 2 mouths to feed, so you better be good. So there's lots of things, but don't be quick to leave your job. Ideally, if you can find someone who shares the same vision, bring them on the journey, and both put some money in.
It's always good to have founders with partners.
Yeah. But good, hard-working, committed partners.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that they'll cling on because there's people that we know. They can turn their hand to anything and be successful. Well, there's opportunists that know that anything that person touches is going to turn to gold. So if they're invited, well, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
25,000, yeah, here's my 25,000.
Yeah.
And then they'll just sit back and wait for that person to lay golden eggs.
Yeah.
It's just hold on. Don't be self-dependent or don't depend on your business too soon.
Yeah. Wait until you build some runway, product
Yeah.
market fit, and then don't hire too soon.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, thank you, David. Thank you for sharing your experience, your thoughts, your wisdom. It's been a, refreshing.
Very, very refreshing and very different perspective.
Yeah, very,
of
very
how to-
interesting.
Different good?
Different good, always.
Always
because,
different.
Okay, good.
You have the proof of that, right? You have your 24 people that you have now given them a better place to work, a set of tools to, complement their work and grow the business alongside them. So you've changed the narrative, and whoever said the soft part is, you've
Yeah.
proven them wrong as well.
Well, he was very pro revenue and profit.
Yeah.
So
I think you can be both. You can
I
be
think you
pro
can,
revenue and
yeah.
profit.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be one or the other.
You
Yeah.
can run a business with kindness. It still will be successful.
And I sleep really well at night. Maybe not at the moment, but I sleep well at night knowing that the decisions I made were right for everybody.
Yeah.
But no, it's been amazing to come
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for agreeing to do this at such short notice as well.
No problem. Anytime.
Amazing. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
If you stayed with us till the end, thank you so much. It really means a lot. But before you go, a small ask. Turns out that 86% of you watch but haven't subscribed yet. Subscribing helps us keep these conversations going and bring you more insights like this. So please hit that subscribe button. If there's someone you'd love for us to feature on the podcast, drop their name in the comments below. We genuinely look at every suggestion. And if this episode helped you in any way, share it with one person. Sometimes that one share is exactly what someone needs to keep going. Thank you again for being here, and see you in the next episode.